lovely rose garden, and happy April Fool's Day. Or at least it'll be happy for you, I hope. Not so sure for me, because I went ahead and asked my supporters on Ko-fi and Patreon to send me 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books for me to react to. This is a blind reaction. I have not seen the reviews that were sent. I muted the channel that they were sent in, so I couldn't see any updates or notifications until right now as I am recording this. Please be kind. It is an unscripted review-ish reaction, so I might flub over some words or use the wrong facial expression from time to time. Pretend you did not see or hear when that happens. Actually, let me refresh myself on all of my different expressions, because I normally just use this one, my little skeptical face. Oh, this one's disappointed. Okay, maybe I'll use this one. I feel this one will be getting the most use today. All right. I'm not even going to put my love it face on the screen because I don't think that's going to happen today. So, without further ado, let's get into the first review. This is a 1-star for Howl's Moving Castle. And I'm not going to be posting the reviews on the screen because I don't want anyone to get harassed. I don't even know which sites some of these reviews are coming off of. I'm trying to keep this as anonymous as possible. So, here we go. What an interesting book. I've heard about the Studio Ghibli movies for such a long time, but have never seen them. I wasn't aware Howl's Moving Castle was a book until recently and decided to read it first to try it out. I guess I didn't know much about this book and therefore the movie to begin with. I did find certain parts, like Sophie's thoughts, to be well done, and the writer definitely has a unique voice and concept in the story. Okay, I'm kind of surprised that this is a 1-star review. It seems pretty thoughtful so far. As a Christian, oh no. There we go. As a Christian, a note for my typical readers, this book is not Christian fiction at all. I know how touchy the topic of magic is in Christian homes, so let it be known that this book is full of magic, witchcraft, spells, and curses. Also mentions of black magic, which is not allowed. There is also a fire demon, which my brain automatically changed to fire dragon each time I read it. Wouldn't it be great if Calcifer was a dragon? The fire demon was a fallen star that should have died, but thanks to a curse/agreement with Howl, lived. There are also mentions of a witch piecing different people's body parts together to create a perfect person and headless people. I personally found this to be the most disturbing part of the story, along with rumors of Howl eating young girls' hearts and sucking their souls from them. This is what changed my rating from a 2-star to a 1-star. I found these parts to be very uncomfortable. So what you're telling me is that you can't handle fairy tale level gore? Like, this is pretty... Howl and Howl's Moving Castle is very much like a modern fairy tale kind of, like, not a fairy tale retelling, but sort of in the a modern writer trying to recreate that feeling of fairy tales. With a little bit of satire sprinkled in. So, what this person is saying is that, as a Christian, they probably couldn't handle a Disney movie. Romance. It's clean. Oh, how did I know? How did I know that we were going to come up with clean in here somewhere? I despise this, and I am not a spice reader really much at all. Like, you know, AO3 is a different story. That's between me and my gods. But generally speaking, I don't like a lot of spice in books. And but this whole clean, meaning that there's no spicy content, I just really hate that word, right? Because it implies that if work does contain sexual content, then it's dirty. Um, and I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, it's clean, with nothing above Howl flirting with many different girls. Kind of surprised that that didn't make this reviewer uncomfortable, but okay. Language. A couple of curses are said, but not actually written. A damnation is exclaimed, shut up and stupid are used often, and a god's name being used in vain twice. Howl exclaims, O Lord. Mentions of gods as well. This book had a very interesting world, and I give the author credit for making me, not a fantasy fan, curious about this book. Because of the content listed above, I personally gave this book a low rating and I will not be watching the movie. Well, at least they read the book before they watched the movie. I don't think they should probably watch any Studio Ghibli movies if these are the things that bother them. Um, yeah, I don't know. Not the worst one star, not that bad to start us off with. It definitely could have been worse. Somehow I get the feeling that as a Christian is going to come up more frequently because a lot of the books that I like are aimed at a slightly younger audience because that's just when I was reading more and had more time to read was when I was younger. A lot of my favorite series are middle grade or young adult, and I'm very queer and like to see myself represented in books. So you can see where this is going. Uh, I get the feeling that people are going to be using religious arguments for why books are bad. At least this one doesn't outright say that the book is bad, though. It's just not for this person. If I had not known anything about Howl's Moving Castle and read this review, I'd probably pick it up from this one-star review. All reviews are good reviews. Sometimes a one-star review helps you find a book that you actually will enjoy. So, any review is good. Okay, moving on. Here's more what I was expecting. Okay, I see some vitriol. Let's Okay, here we go. It's also Howl's Moving Castle, by the way. Another one star for Howl's Moving Castle. If a bag of shit, a ream of paper, and a John Hughes movie all did tequila shots at the Double Down Saloon and then had a really nasty threesome, then the horrifying offspring of that event would be this nightmare of a book. Side note, sorry, uh, while I disagree with the take that is being presented here, and I think that Howl's Moving Castle is a very good book and a modern classic, I do love the creativity of the reviewers. Like, what a turn of phrase this first sentence contained. Doing tequila shots at the Double Down Saloon is going to become part of my lexicon. Seriously, I just do not understand how people like this book and wax nostalgic about it. Don't tell me I can't appreciate it because I did not read it as a child. I have reread many of the books that carried me through grade school and love them still. Let's talk about the book. Hardworking, pretty heroine from the wrong side of the tracks, Sophie. I don't know if I would describe Sophie as being from the wrong side of the tracks necessarily, but okay. Handsome, powerful bad boy who falls for heroin, Howl. Imagine. Imagine describing Howl as a bad boy. Did we read the same book? Friend-zoned best friend, Brian. Popular mean girls, The Witches. Okay, we straight up did not read the same book. Wise adult who advises the heroine, The Fire Demon. You did not read Howl's Moving Castle. I'm sorry. I don't know what you read. It was not Howl's Moving Castle. Prom or similar event, The Trip to the Castle. See what I mean? No, I don't. I do not understand at all what you were getting at. That is not at all how I interpreted these characters when I read them. You it seems like you are leaping to fit them into the typical YA contemporary literature tropes. I don't think Sophie's from the wrong side of the tracks. I don't think Howl's a bad boy. I don't think the witches are popular mean girls. I don't think Calcifer is a wise adult. And the trip to the castle is definitely not like prom. Oh my lord, okay. Okay, so teenager Sophie suddenly ages 60 years because she's rude to a customer. Yes, Sophie was downright nasty to her and other customers. The book says she's now 90. Diana Wynne Jones, you suck at math. Sophie's either in her mid 70s or 90, and that makes a big difference when a very old woman suddenly walks several dozen miles and sleeps overnight outdoors. It's magic. It's fantasy. So are you willing to suspend your disbelief for this teenager becoming an old woman, but not because the age of said old woman might fluctuate slightly? Which does have an in-canon explanation if you think about it for 5 seconds. Oh my, okay, keep going, Avalon. Sophie doesn't seem bothered by it in the least. I exhibited more frustration at Del Taco when they raised their Taco Tuesday prices by 20 cents than Sophie did at becoming a senior citizen. Golly gee, it's almost like that says something about Sophie's mindset and how she views herself and her freedom as an old woman versus a young and marriageable maiden. It's almost like that's the point of the book. She gets a job working for Howl, an allegedly powerful and dangerous wizard who spends hours at a time in his filthy bathroom. If a man goes into the bathroom for more than 2 minutes and is not taking a shower, then he is taking a crap. How many girls did this book confuse once they started dating? Objection irrelevant? There's a creepy fire demon and a sort of indentured servant named Brian in the mix. What follows is a very slow and boring read. The writing isn't exciting. It's narrated in the same ho-hum attitude with which Sophie accepts her curse. To add insult to injury, you must read this book with the utmost care, as each line seems to be important to the book's Scooby-Doo denouement. And by Scooby-Doo, I mean a plot that is completely resolved in the last 5 pages of a story without any previous build-up. So do you need to pay attention to each line in order to understand the ending? Or does the ending come without any previous buildup? Because you can't have it both ways. Either you either there is buildup, which is what you're complaining about because you have to read the book with care, or there isn't, in which case it wouldn't matter if you read it. These are contradictory statements. I might have considered an extra half star for the creativity of the moving castle, which is the only thing I did like. But the terrifying bit about creating a person from the chopped up body parts of murdered citizens is gross and excessive. The romance also came out of the author's ass within the last 5 pages. Wrong. Wrong again. Okay. Someone clearly wasn't paying attention. What an unsatisfying book. This was a complete waste of time. There's an asterisk. With apologies to the actual Double Down Saloon, one of the best dive bars in America. Oh, there actually is one. Okay. I thought it was just being figurative. Well, that was crap. Once again, like, that first review, I don't agree with it, but at least the person is like, yeah, I object to this because of, this and this reason. Things that are actually in the book. This person, I don't know what book they read, but it wasn't Howl's Moving Castle. Friend-zoned best friend is Brian. What? Okay, sure, Jan. So I think that's all for Howl's Moving Castle that I was sent in by, or that people sent in. Words are hard when I don't have a script. Let me scroll down and see the next review. Oh boy, it's on The Blood of Olympus. So this is the sequel series to Percy Jackson. Admittedly, I did not like Heroes of Olympus as much as I liked Percy Jackson and the Olympians. they were a lot bigger books. My attention span can't really hold that far. There was just a lot going on in those books. I preferred the narration style of Percy Jackson. But I still thought that they were good books overall. I think that it was interesting. It was fun to see Rick Riordan try to take on multiple points of view per book. So let's get into this one and see what they have to say. Really 1.5 stars. I'm going to do a sort of review for the entire Heroes of Olympus series so you can see my thought process and why I felt the way that I did at the series end. It's a bit long, but then again, so are all the reviews of Riordan's books on Goodreads. Sorry, I just dropped this one's on Goodreads. Oh well. So there we go. Be warned, there are some spoilers from all of the books in here, mainly just plot twists that are crucial to later books in the series and some romance themes. I don't spoil the ending of Blood of Olympus, at least not the real ending. I do talk a bit about the romantic aspect. All right. That's fair if we're going to cover the final book in a series to understand the journey that this reader went on. Okay, so I have literally been waiting for this book in some form or another for almost 7 years. That is, if you start counting from when I first read The Lightning Thief, the first book in the original series. I've read every book in the first series more times than I can count, and I'm not just saying that to exaggerate. I literally reread the series, especially the first book, periodically, and I can't remember how many times I've read each book. What I do know is that I loved the series along with every other middle schooler on the planet. All right. And then the Heroes of Olympus series was announced, and I was so excited. I thought it would be amazing. I started the first book with no idea what to expect in the storyline department, but expected to relish seeing all the old characters again. The whole book was about 3 kids I'd never seen before, and I came to love them, and I gushed over the book with all of my friends, but inside I was still holding out judgment. The second book, Son of Neptune. That would be when everything really started. That would be when Percy stepped onto the page once more. And you know what? I did love Son of Neptune, because seeing Percy struggle to remember his life was so fascinating, and I sighed along with every other junior high girl on the planet when I saw how the only thing Percy could remember was Annabeth. All right, pretty normal so far. I think this was a lot of people's reaction to The Lost Hero because it was very much marketed as, it's a follow-up to Percy Jackson, and Percy Jackson was kind of heavily in the marketing for it. So a lot of people were pretty surprised, I think, when Percy isn't in the first book. But I think The Lost Hero was the book that I reread the most of the Heroes of Olympus series, and I think it's a good book on its own. It did take a little bit of adjustment with the different POV switching and stuff, but I liked it, and Son of Neptune is probably my favorite one in Heroes of Olympus, not just because Percy, but also Nico. Obviously, Nico is my favorite character, and their interactions in Son of Neptune were really good. All right, I'm with this person so far. Of all the books in the series, I was least concerned about the quality of Mark of Athena going into it. Annabeth and Percy were finally together, and the crew united. At this point, though, I was getting a bit of all the encounters with random gods. Seriously, Rick needs someone to go through and chop about 10 monster encounters from each of the Heroes of Olympus books. I was still invested, though, mainly because I still loved Persebeth and couldn't stand not knowing what happened after a certain literal cliffhanger that finished off an otherwise pleasing book. Okay, all right. I'm I'm kind of with this person so far. One of the things I didn't care for in Heroes of Olympus was how many action scenes there were, which I know sounds strange, but rereading The Lightning Thief recently with my students, all of the monster encounters with Percy and Annabeth and Grover, they feel really purposeful. They kind of tie in specifically to, certain themes, like how to phrase this. Sorry, this is hard without a script. Each monster and each of the Percy Jackson books is roughly based on some Greek myth or heavily references a Greek myth. So obviously Sea of Monsters is very Odyssey heavy and features a lot of the monsters from the Odyssey. The Lightning Thief, you see a lot of like big name monsters because it's the introduction to the series. So you're seeing monsters that famous heroes fought, like the Minotaur, like Medusa, right? These are like, you think of Theseus, you think of the Minotaur. You think of Perseus, you think of Medusa. It's very styled that way. Versus Heroes of Olympus, they just seem to have like a requirement, like a quota they need to fill of different monsters and gods to run into that really don't feel like they add a whole lot to the overall structure and plot. So, okay, so far I'm agreeing with this person. Uh okay, and now we're going out of order cuz now we're jumping to Blood of Olympus. Did they mean House of Hades? I'm just going to read it as it is. Then came Blood of Olympus, and I officially came to the realization I honestly didn't care about all 7 of the crew members. Not as people, anyway. They're not really people to me, they're just tools for Reucrion. Tools for him to A. Have as many races, ethnicities, and even sexual orientations as he. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, I am no longer with this person. Um. What? This took a turn. I this is not what I expected to see here. Okay. Buckle up, guys. Here we go. Tools for him to have as many races, ethnicities, and even sexual orientations as he can possibly cram in there, and B, create enough love angst stories to fill about 4 separate middle school series. I guess his success with Persebeth made him think the world was full of teenage suckers who would wholeheartedly ship every random coupling he threw in just for the sake of having couples. And I guess he was right, but I, for one, was getting pretty tired of Rick's old tricks. Uh, I mean, I guess not all of the ships landed for me, but also they are teenage characters figuring out their feelings. I don't expect every single person to find their true love in high school, but it's not surprising that they would find comfort in each other and like each other and stuff. Like, I am not a romance person. I know I already went on the whole like not really liking spice thing. I don't really like romance either. Like a lot, unless it's a specific couple, and usually if it's queer. I didn't think the couples in Heroes of Olympus were like egregious or anything though. Then came House of Hades. I tread cautiously here. And I was ready to throw in the towel. While I enjoyed seeing Percy and Annabeth trusting and relying on each other as they navigated the difficult situations they encountered, I had no real interest in what the rest of the crew was up to. Riordan's writing was still engaging, but I'd seen it all before. There was literally nothing new outside of Tartarus, and I really didn't care enough about Piper to find her road to magic usage that exciting. Wait, was it Piper or Hazel? I can never keep those two straight. Did you read that? I can never keep those two straight. And one is the Native American daughter of a movie star and the goddess of love, while the other is an African American dead girl whose father is Hades. If I can't keep those two straight, then Riordan is doing something wrong. The Leo and Calypso angle was sweet, though, and I was looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. Okay, nothing about a certain plot point. I'm still not trusting this person as much as I did before. And now Blood of Olympus has finally arrived. Okay, so was the earlier note about House of Hades? Anyway. And I still bought it the day it came out. Why, you ask? You got the impression that I was starting to get sick of the series. Why would I buy the latest book? Well, mainly because I was sick and tired, ill and exhausted, not exasperated, kind, and my father went to Target. Also, the other book that came out that day, Jessica Day George's Thursdays with the Crown, another book I'll get around to reviewing one of these days, wasn't at Target. So I read Blood of Olympus, and far from loving it like every other fangirl on the planet, I disliked it. A lot. Because you see, everything I loved about the series had all but disappeared, and it felt like Rick was just using his tired old tricks to make everybody happy. Oh, here we go. The new Nico storyline is very much not to my taste, so while I empathized with him as a poor lonely kid who thinks he has no friends, I still found the bits about his sexual orientation less than appealing. Why? That is directly related to the fact that he is a poor lonely kid who thinks he has no friends. Are we forgetting that Nico is from a different time period where this was criminal and would have had dire consequences should anyone find out? And then Jason accepting him is like a huge moment for their friendship. Like, I know a lot of people kind of take issue with the way that Nico's coming out was written in House of Hades, and that's understandable. I disagree on the level that I think it does represent that not everyone gets to choose when they get to come out. In an ideal world, that would happen. But I think that with the landscape of the time, with the fact that there were so few, if any, really LGBT characters in popular series, I I get the sense that it was done with care to that modern time. Maybe if in hindsight, maybe it could have done with looking at by a sensitivity reader. But given that Rick is now writing the Nico D'Angelo books with an LGBT author, like co-writing it, I don't know. I don't have as many issues with that as other people do. So so what oh, hi Winnie. So what specifically about this is this person bothered by, aside from the fact just that it exists and is part of his character? Um, by the way, I am also a bisexual Percy truther, and rereading The Lightning Thief recently has only made me more secure in that. That boy has a crush on Luke. You can't convince me otherwise. Well, let's continue. As for the members of the Argo 2, you'd think I'd still have Percabeth to fall back on, right? Nope, they're barely together at all, and even when they are, the scenes between them feel fake and cheesy instead of sweet. And don't get me started on Leo and Calypso. The first time he called her Sunshine, I felt sick. The whole interaction between the two of them feels like Rick completely recast their relationship. It goes from this unspoken loyalty, love thing that was really sweet, and I liked a lot, to this obnoxious, comfortable, we've been dating for years sort of feel. To be perfectly honest, the book reads like a fanfiction you could find on the internet. Sure, it's longer than most fanfics online, but the romance is as out of character and clumsy as the average fanfic. I know I'm one of the minority in my opinion of the series, especially for my age demographic, and I truly feel bad about that. I came into the series ready to love it, and if anyone who knows me in real life reads this, they'll be shocked because I always seemed just as in love with the series as they were. But who knows, maybe I'm not the only one secretly disappointed with the series. Whether you agree with me or not, comment below and let me hear your thoughts. Also, please don't think I hate all things Percy Jackson now. Percabeth will always have a place in my heart, and nothing the later books have to say can change that. And who knows, maybe the new series, officially titled Magnus Chase, will be better. I guess there was an edit. Haha, I was joking. I'm trying the first book just to see how it is, but just because Chase is Annabeth's cousin, you mean Magnus is Annabeth's cousin, does not mean I will read 5 more 500-page books. I'm pretty sure Magnus Chase is only 3 books. If I want to see how Percy and Annabeth are doing, I'll just Google it. Thank you very much. So, I don't know. I only read Blood of Olympus once a long time ago. I'm probably had some of the same complaints that this person had, but that line about how, oh, this is just for Rick to cram in as many like minorities as possible really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Um, did not care for that. But I don't think this was as bad of a review as it could have been. Uh, I think that some of it, you know, tracked, made sense. All right, let me continue on and see what else we've gotten here. Oh boy, there's a review for House of Hades. I'm sure that will be normal and great. It's very short. I have loved all the Rick Riordan books so far. The Mark of Athena was my favorite A book, and I couldn't wait for his next book in the series, The House of Hades. I got the book ASAP and enjoyed the first 200 pages until I found out that Nico was gay, and the rest of the book was dedicated to trying to make people feel sorry for him for not getting Percy, and that made me very uncomfortable, as did my friends reading this. Please take the gay crap out of your books. Yeah, okay, that's about what I thought would happen. Once again, this person clearly didn't read the book because it's really not mentioned a whole lot after the coming out scene. Like, with the split POVs being how they are and juggling multiple plot lines per book, there's not even that much left for Nico's plot line in the book. Like, this comes in about halfway. Um, there's some discussion with Jason about it, but that's really it. And even then, I wouldn't say that it's trying to make people feel bad that he didn't get Percy, even though I am a Persico shipper forever. The joys of being a multi shipper is that I can enjoy Percy with Nico and Percy with Annabeth at the same time. But yeah, no, like that's not what happened, but okay. Um, with this one though, I am actually going to go into the comments because I can see them. So this review had a couple of comments by deleted users. Golly gee, I wonder why they deleted their accounts. Someone responded, "I know, right? Saying someone is gay at all means they're overanalyzing something that really doesn't need to be overanalyzed. Why is everyone so obsessed with sexual attractions?" I don't think we're obsessed. I think we just exist. And liking somebody doesn't mean you have to be in a romantic relationship with them and show physical displays of affection like that. I always had a problem with the way even the straight kids all had to be in romantic relationships. What warped priorities our culture has. These books are basically about child soldiers, but yeah, the romance, that's the problem. And then someone else chimed in, if you're who is not a deleted user, if you're going to be a homophobic jerk, keep it to yourself. No one wants to hear your opinion. Go off. To which someone else responds, it's a deleted user, so I'm guessing probably the same deleted user. I don't know. He's just saying he's disturbed by the author's priorities. I have to agree. So the priorities here meaning writing authentically to the character and including readers who are not straight. Gay isn't a cute little personality trait. It means condoning the horrendous, perverted actions we're essentially accepting are in his future now. What the heck is that doing in a kid's book for? A political correct attempt to normalize it. Riordan was a school teacher. His brain fell out of its open mind long ago. This comment is from 2015, so I just want to remind everybody that while there has definitely been a sorry to get political for a second, but while there has definitely been a large shift in the dominant culture of the Western world, particularly the United States, to more conservative thinking, people did think like this already. You could kind of chicken egg this one, but they're like, this is it's almost making me nostalgic because this is the kind of old school homophobia that I was used to enduring when I was a teenager, because it was very much that, hate the sin, love the sinner type of, oh well, we don't hate you, we're just concerned because of all these gross and icky evil things that you're gonna have to do if you are gay. And like, okay, take the plank out of your own eye before worrying about the grain of sand in mine. But anyway, oh gosh, that was a throwback. All right, next one. Oh, okay, they all look like they're pretty short. Yeah, we're just screen caps. Looks like it's going to be a lot of lots of Percy Jackson from here. Oh, and I can. This particular supporter knew exactly what the assignment was. I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to anger mode right now. Spoilers. Before I get jumped by killer fangirls, let me explain my rating. The Percy Jackson in the Olympian series is my life, period. When the Heroes of Olympus came out, it was a blessing. And the Mark of Athena left me heartbroken along with the rest of my Percy Jackson fangirl family when Percabeth fell into Tartarus. Then I waited patiently for the House of Hades. It was beautiful, until the Cupid scene where my favorite character, Nico D'Angelo, was deemed gay. I am a Christian. And the supporter put in the chat, people really do put I am a Christian before the worst takes you've ever seen. Yep. I absolutely will never judge anyone who is homosexual, but as a Christian, I don't support homosexuality. See, this is what I'm talking about. That old school, like early 2010s homophobia of, well, I'm not a bad person because I think you don't deserve rights. I just can't accept that you're gross and icky. Girl, shut up. I swear I was the most depressed person in the world when I read that part for the 5th time. You read it 5 times. You were so disgusted that you read it 5 times, huh? That's as many times as I've read it, and I love that part. Like again, people have worthwhile criticisms on how Rick handled that part of the story, but personally for me, being a Nico D'Angelo fan, and that is my son, I was very proud of him. Uh, 5 times, huh? You had to read that 5 times? So go on, hate me, but I will always be a Percy Jackson and the Olympians fan. But according to my religion, I cannot be a Heroes of Olympus fan. Thanks for reading my review. All hate will be ignored. Okay, so you did like the book, except for this one thing. All right, cool. No hate like Christian love. All right, let's see. We got what? 2 more. Okay, 2 more. I can get through this. All right. Another one for House of Hades. This book was horrible. I was so excited for it. I had a countdown going, and I am extremely disappointed. Nothing happened. Too many coincidences. Spoilers. Oh, looky, there's a place where we can send a note to Camp Half-Blood in Tartarus. Oh, whoopee, a river that heals you in Tartarus. How terrifying. Oh, whoopsie, a good titan that we meet before all the others. No plot twist. And bringing that real-world thing in, that shouldn't have happened. Why did he put that in a children's book? Oh, so we're not even going to say it, but I'm guessing, why did he put that in a children's book? That's probably Nico being gay. Yeah, we can defeat a goddess with 2 demigods without one dying easy. It was stupid. I do not recommend it. So by this point in the series, they have gone up against gods without dying. Like, book 1 had Percy fight Ares and survive. Like, I wouldn't say he won necessarily, but he didn't die. That's pretty good. Um, Maybe there were a couple of contrivances. Like, again, it's been a while since I read these particular books, but the river that heals you in Tartarus freaking sucks. Like, it's not like a nice pretty fountain where you get your HP back. It sucks. That river has consequences to using it, and it's really harrowing. And I remember feeling very tense through all of the Tartarus scenes of, just a heavy sense of dread. Obviously, I knew that Rick wasn't going to kill off Percy and Annabeth, but they definitely are not the same people they were when they get out. They were struggling for a good while there. Maybe this person just, skimmed or read quickly through it. I do find that a lot of the times now when I see readers complaining about pacing in books, I have to stop and ask myself, how quickly did they read it? Because reading a book, hi Winnie, reading a book in a single night, a lot of the times it's seen as like oh, I couldn't put it down, it was so good, or someone is just speed reading to meet their reading goal. And that does mess with the pacing. Most books are not meant to be read in a single evening, and it will seem very fast paced if you do that. That's not the case for all books, but sometimes I will see people complain about, a book's pacing, and then I go read that book and I read it over the course of a week, and I don't have those pacing problems. To each their own. Okay, last review. And it is once again, it's the Titan's Curse. Okay. This is my favorite book in the Percy Jackson series. Probably easily top 3 favorite books of all time. Introduces Nico, raises the stakes for the series. A lot of the gods and monsters that are introduced are really cool. Artemis and Apollo are some of my favorite side characters in the Percy Jackson series. The Hunters of Artemis I thought were really interesting. I really ship Artemis and Zoe a lot. So let's see what their 1-star take on one of my favorite books is. I mean, I know these are all some of my favorite books, but like one of the truest, nearest, and dearest books to my heart. I'm going to go ahead and just rage about it now. The quality of the series refuses to improve. Character development, who's that? Intriguing storytelling? Nope. So this person doesn't even like Percy Jackson already. And you're on book 3. Why are you still here? If you didn't like book 1 and you didn't like book 2, leave. No one's forcing you to be here. Yes, I know the irony of that considering my Roselin rant series. This review is from 2025. Wild. Wild to me. Also quite sexist to me how there are no likable female characters. You heard me. None. Being a know-it-all, not personality. Good fighter, not a personality. Radical feminist, not a personality. Do you read? What? The characters in this series archetypes, and they're deep to them. No themes are explored. Like Avatar The Last Airbender is also for the same age group and way better than this crap. Now, I'm not going to throw shade on Avatar The Last Airbender. I do think that it's a good series. I don't think it's better than Percy Jackson. I'd argue that they're close in quality. But I would say Percy Jackson treats its female characters with a little bit more depth than. Okay, we're not going to get into comparing the two. I will save my hot takes on Avatar: The Last Airbender for a time when I have seen it within the last decade, because it's been a long time for that too. This review is nonsensical to me because I just don't understand how you could read 3 books and not like Annabeth or consider her a deep and nuanced character. Even in the first book, she does have her moments. She comes off as kind of mean and aggressive toward Percy at first, but then you start to learn some of her history and her motivations and goals, and that quickly fades away. Then you get Sea of Monsters. Clarisse has tons of development in Sea of Monsters. And are we really just equating all of the Hunters of Artemis to radical feminist? No, incorrect, wrong. Firstly, wrong branch of feminism. But Rick Riordan has even said that Artemis accepts trans and non-binary femmes as Hunters of Artemis. So, a big part of radical feminism is a lot of trans. You know what? I'm not even gonna. Why am I putting more effort into counteracting this than this person put into writing their review, which is just okay. I'm sorry, I just can't. Titan's Curse is so good. It is easily one of the best books in the entire series, probably one of the best books that Riordan has ever written. And I am a pretty big fan of Riordan's other series as well. So this one, what are you talking about? How are we not talking about Bianca D'Angelo right now? And the tragedy of her character and just Nico and mythomagic and Percy just going after saving Annabeth and Percy's fatal flaw and the Atlas scene, Apollo and Artemis and their sibling relation. There's so much in Titan's Curse. I don't think a single page is wasted in the entire book. Are you literate? Can you read at all? Do you understand themes, character motivations, arcs whatsoever? What archetypes are you referring to when you say that the characters are their archetypes? What does that mean? Which ones? Percy is the hero, I'm assuming, but what are the other characters' archetypes? It's not even Percy's quest. Are we the scene with Blackjack and Dionysus? Okay, this broke me. This broke my brain. Deep breaths. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, maybe I'll do more like it. If April 1st falls on one of my upload days again in the future, could be fun to do some more user or supporter submitted reacting to 1-star reviews. And I look forward to seeing all the bad takes. Leave a comment below to let me know which of these takes was the wildest to you, or what is your favorite book. Okay, here's a fun little writing exercise. Write a 1-star review of your favorite book in the comments. I would love to see it because it can be very goofy, and so sometimes you really got to stretch. And okay, yeah, unscripted outros are difficult. Leave a comment below to let me know what your reactions to this were, or what your 1-star review of your favorite book would be. And keep growing until next time, Rose Garden.